Hi, I'm Tom Jones and welcome to another one of my free art lessons. I'm doing a little exercise on trees for you. I'm going to go ahead and put in some vertical trees in this area up here that's got white space. And here's another tree area that I did once before for you. And I hope you'll join along as I do this extra tree area up here at the top. I'm going to take and put in some, what I would consider maybe some western looking trees. Out west you've got a lot of these nice trees. You also have them in the east, sometimes in the mountains up here. But I want to put in an area where I've got some foliage here. I'm going to put in the look of some evergreen trees. And I'm just taking the side of my brush and I'm just going to stamp in the edge of some of these trees. Now I can use this brush to do that. I can take and I can use my script brush to do that. I can do all kinds of different brush strokes using different brushes. So I have a lot of options and a lot of choices. But I want to show you how I would approach this particular area with regard to these types of trees. One of my suggestions to you is to try to avoid making the perfect tree that looks manicured like the ones maybe in your backyard or your front yard. I would make my trees in the wilderness look a little bit more like they're in the wild. They're not the perfect trees, in other words. They have some roughness up to them. All the branches are not there. Some of the branches are missing. Some are shorter, some are longer. Some of the trees are not quite filled out. Some of them have died. So we'll show you how to do a little forested area with some trees here that I think can be fun for you. So follow along here for a moment. Let me take just a minute and I'll start putting in some of these trees to show you how I would approach a forested area. Now when I say trees, I'm not speaking in a singular term. I'm basically speaking in the term that I'd like you to consider maybe a forested area or an area of tree. That way you won't be trying to paint the perfect tree, but you'll be painting a perfect area that looks more natural, meaning that there'll be some dead branches and some dead trees coming up. There's a lot of what I call trash in nature, meaning there are dead trees, some falling and so forth. That's what you'll want to make sure that you put in your scenes when you're doing these wilderness paintings. So just follow along. We'll do an area for you. It doesn't take long, just a few minutes. We can have this whole area painted in. I'm using in this case some ultramarine blue deep and some hooker green deep, and throwing some of that color in. I can also come in and take a little bit of yellow in a spray bottle, in this little dot bottle, and I can throw some of that in, and just to create a little more texture and so forth. I have a lot of options here. I'll take my brush, I'll pull some of this green color down into the earth colors here, just to kind of blend that in just a little bit to give it a little bit more realistic look down here. So then I'll just continue on painting. I'll do some more trees and I'll put in some more types of trees with different shapes and so forth. As an example, let's come over to the side here and we'll put in a few trees that are maybe smaller and shorter and less branches and so forth, as opposed to these over here. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you how I would create a forested area of trees, but again, think in terms of how it might look in the wilderness, not necessarily in your backyard. That's what I want to show you right now. So let's take an area of tree here. We'll fill this area in just a little bit here. Look how all of a sudden now it's starting to look like a forested area that you would see in nature. And that's what you're looking for. That's the look, that roughness, that beauty of nature. I've used 3 different brushes. I've used my 3/4 inch brush, I've used my script brush, I've used my 1/2 inch brush. So I can use a lot of different brushes to accomplish what I want, but just have fun with this and just remember that all the trees in nature aren't exactly perfect. You want a certain roughness to them. So let's just a couple more brush strokes and I think you'll get the idea here. See how simple it is to create an area of tree that you can have a lot of fun with that looks very natural. When this starts to dry a little bit, you can throw a little water in there and it'll create all kinds of texture for you as well. So there's a lot of things you can do with a painting like this. Here's 2 examples of what I did in 2 different exercises. I'm going to do some more for you. Thanks for joining me.